Vice President Tomorito, we are streaming.
Welcome, everyone, to the Board of Education meeting. I call the meeting to order. Roll call, Dr. Albright, please.
Janelle Astorga.
Here.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Here.
Heather Benavides.
Here.
Crystal Tapio Romero.
Here.
Josefina Dominguez.
Here.
Courtney Jackson.
Here.
Danielle Gonzalez.
Our first item to consider is the adoption of November 13, 2024 Special Board of Education Charter Schools Meeting Agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll move for approval of the November 13th, 2024 Special Board of Education agenda.
I'll second. This is Heather.
Dr. Albright?
Janelle Astorga.
Yes.
Heather Benavides.
Yes.
Crystal Tapio Romero.
Yes.
Josefina Dominguez.
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes. Our next item is public forum. Member Astorga, will you please share the instructions for public forum?
Yes, thank you. Welcome to our public forum guests. When you signed up to speak, you were asked to review rules and expectations, which our presiding officer will enforce. The New Mexico Open Meetings Act requires that our agenda specify in advance the items that will be discussed and voted on during the meeting. Therefore, public forum is not a dialogue among speakers and board members, but rather a chance to hear from our community. We will call participants to speak in the order they signed up, whether in person or virtual. Those here with us tonight will be asked to come to the microphone at the back of the room when their name is called. Online guests will stay in a virtual waiting room until it is their turn to speak. We have set aside 45 minutes for public forum. If there are 22 or fewer speakers, you will each have 2 minutes to speak, otherwise you will have 1 minute. Tonight we have 21 speakers, so you will still have 2 minutes each. Once your time is up, you will be asked to quickly wrap up. If you feel unable to convey your message, you may email boarded@aps.edu. In addition, for those of you here tonight, a representative from our service center is here to assist you. Mr. Gonzalez, please introduce the speakers.
Thank you, Board Member Astorga. Our first speaker this evening is Alan Dominguez, and Alan will be followed by Heather Yao. Mr. Dominguez, you'll have 2 minutes once you begin speaking into the mic.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alan Dominguez, and I'm a senior at the Public Academy for Performing Arts. In support of my school, my communication is through music and song. And the ability to express ourselves through performing arts keeps our students out of the deep end. You will also be receiving a pamphlet with our events coming up that we would love to invite you to, which one of them is our senior showcase, which I am a part of. So here's a little song for all of you. I'm off the deep end, watch as I dive in. I'll never meet the ground. No cracks through the surface where they can't hurt us. We're far from the shallow now. In the shallow. In the shallow, in the shallow, we're far from the shallow now. Thank you so much.
And our next speaker is Heather Yao. Okay. Heather, you have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Dear distinguished board members, my name is Heather Yao, and I'm the theater teacher at Digital Arts and Technology Academy. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to speak in support of our charter renewal. In the brief time we have here today, I wanted to speak to you about some of the great work we're doing at DATA. We're lucky to have a robust elective program at our school that teaches our students about theater, film, painting, drawing, multimedia art, puppetry, digital arts, and graphic design. But what's great about our school is that these creative skills serve our students beyond the boundaries of their arts classes. Creative skills support students learning in their core classes by giving them new languages to express their learning and by giving them the tools for collaborative expression. And this is great because multiple studies, including those from the National Center for Education and the Economy, say that the top priorities for employers and their new hires are creative thinking and collaboration. Our students are making real-world connections in preparation for life outside of our school. This semester alone, our students are presenting their creative work or collaborating with the Outpost Performance Space, Harwood Arts Center, Cottonwood Classical School, North Fork Theater, and the Guild. New Mexico is rapidly becoming a hotbed for good careers in the arts and arts-adjacent fields, and Data is preparing our students for success in that world. We thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Tisha Holloway. You have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Hi, my name is Tisha Holloway, and I'm here to speak in support of the Digital Arts and Technology Academy. I'm standing before you not just as a faculty member from the school who feels supported by my administration to develop robust curriculum that integrates the community, not just as a teacher who is able to provide students with college and career skills, along with internships, apprenticeships, and job opportunities, but I'm also here as a parent of a beautifully creative child who has struggled with their own mental health due to bullying. I brought my child to Data during their 7th grade year because I felt supported there myself. And I saw the culture and community that Data and its faculty are striving to create, and I believe in that vision. My kid has access to amazing electives and classes that value and engage their creativity. And the school also offers a robust counseling staff that includes trained peers, faculty, and even an innovative partnership with a local counseling program to teach students lifelong skills that are beneficial for their mental health. My child and I have directly benefited from the support, curriculum, and community that thrives at Data, and I see this direct impact every day on the students that I teach there, who say that they have also found a culture of support, opportunity, and acceptance within our walls. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you guys here today, and thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Large Kingston Edwards. You'll have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Hi, my name is Large Kingdon Edwards. I'm a junior at the Public Academy for Performing Arts, and I'd just like to play something to show how much this school means to me. Thank you.
All right, our next speaker is Fabian Cisneros. Mr. Cisneros, you'll have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Good evening. My name is Fabián Esquipola Cisneros. I'm a teacher at the Public Academy for Performing Arts, where I teach high school English and flamenco. Unfortunately, I can't show my dancers today. It's impossible in this space. And it's fitting that that should happen because that's something that we are changing in our space at the Public Academy for Performing Arts. See, in 1980, these linguists, these theorists, Lakoff and Johnson, wrote this book, Metaphors We Live By. And in Metaphors We Live By, they discovered that what we already know intuitively, and that is that metaphor is pervasive in our language, and it affects everything we perceive about the world. And and there's all these metaphorical categories that are integrated into our language. For example, argument is war, right? That's a metaphor that's ingrained into our language. So in argumentation, which is what I'm trying to do right now, is make an argument for my school. The metaphors that are given to me through the language already that's embedded in the English language is a metaphor for war. I need to defend my space here. I need to make a case against for or against. But interestingly, in the same text, Lakoff and Johnson, they also discovered, or rather offered, what if there wasn't an argument for war? What if there was a different metaphor we lived by? Maybe it was dance. And what's cool about that, when we think about a metaphor for dance, well, it changes the way we conceive of the world around us. It changes the way we approach arguments. It changes the way we see ourselves in relation to others. And that's something we're doing in our space. And that is a beautiful thing. Unfortunately, it's being silenced by the structures that were given here. All right. So I can't show the dance to you, but I encourage you to seek it out, because when you live by through a metaphor of dance, it changes everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Chris Bonaham. You have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Hello, my name is Chris Bonaham. I'm representing Los Puentes Charter School. First, I'd like to thank the board for your time, dedication, and allowing me to speak. My love runs deep for Los Puentes. I've been an employee there since 2004, just a couple years after its creation. And in a PD they asked us to write one word which describes Los Puentes. I chose family. See, being a small school, family is at the heart of everything that we do. We use those relationships to push kids academically, to support them with SEL programming. And like all families, we have the kids' best interest at heart. You can see, when you have forward-thinking administration, hardworking teachers and staff, in conjunction with families and communities, all for a common goal, beautiful things happen and relationships are formed. I've had many students, ex-students, that have actually entrusted me with their kids. To me, that is one of the highest honors. Over the last 20 years, I've seen Los Puentes grow and adapt while always staying true to its mission. And we have some amazing things planned for the next 5 years. So I stand here in front of you today, asking for your vote to renew our charter. Let us show you what a family can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Gail Stewart, and she will be on Zoom. Gail, are you there?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay.
You'll have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity to provide public comment on APS's apparent intention to renew the charter of Ames. That's the first school on your agenda tonight. My direct and anecdotal knowledge of Ames dates back to the early years after it started in the mid-2000s. At all times since then, my direct and anecdotal knowledge of this charter school has been that it actively seeks to emulate a private school for academically high achieving students through the use of federal and state dollars without adherence to federal laws assuring the educational rights of students with disabilities. If you look at the second item in your agenda packet concerning Ames, you'll see the executive summary. Page 3 of this summary provides student demographics at Ames compared to Albuquerque Public Schools. While APS student population includes 19% students with disabilities, Ames has 0%. This is for both the reported years, 21-22 and 22-23. It appears statistically impossible that a charter school with hundreds of students has 0 students with disabilities. This can only happen through the intentional manipulation of the composition of the student body based on excluding or counseling out students with disabilities. According to this demographic report, there's also 0 students with English learners in the same time period. The federal government has made it very clear that it violates Section 504 to exclude or refuse participation of students with disabilities in accelerated programs such as Ames has. APS, as the chartering authority, does not insulate itself from legal liability for disability discrimination. You are cognizant of this based on the self-reported demographics of the school. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Leora Kennedy. You have 2 minutes once you begin speaking, ma'am.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak to all of you this evening. I am a teacher at Mount Mahogany Community Charter School. As a model structured literacy school, we serve a very vital part in our community and in our neighborhood. We serve a number of families who would not get the opportunity to have this level of academic rigor were they not coming to our school. One of the wonderful things about Mount Mahogany is that not only do we serve and give our students a quite rigorous curriculum, but we also teach our students the importance of dignity, respect, and kindness. And we do this in part through exposing them to nature, to have a love of nature, to become agents for peace in the world. And we do that also in our community with one another. And so I'm here tonight to tell you that this is an amazing school to be at and to work at and to be a part of. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is James Baca, followed by Julia Dumars. James, you have 2 minutes once you begin speaking, sir.
Thank you to the APS board for allowing me to speak. My name is James Baca, and my son is currently a senior at Los Puentes Charter School. He started attending Los Puentes Charter School his sophomore year. Before that, he attended traditional high school. And in traditional high school, he suffered from a lot of behavioral and emotional issues. He also had horrible grades. I was called almost weekly about an altercation he got into with his peers or his teachers. So I decided to enroll him in Los Puentes Charter School, a smaller school setting, and when I did, I saw improvements in his behavior, his grades, and his self-esteem. He also became more talkative about the things he does at school, and he's very excited about attending there. Since attending Los Puentes, he's been on the honor roll, achieved college credits through CNM, and is no longer taking special education classes. My son has also become more goal-oriented about his future. Although my son has accomplished these things on his own by working hard, he couldn't have done it without the support and encouragement from all the staff and teachers and administrators at Los Puentes. Please consider Los Puentes Charter School for the charter renewal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Julia Dumars. Julia, you'll have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Good evening. My name is Julia Dumars, and I'm proud to be here as a staff member of South Valley Academy. Our school is a 25-year-old charter school in the South Valley of Albuquerque, serving over 600 students in grades 6 through 12. So we're one of the largest and longest lasting charter schools in New Mexico. We have a mission to prepare students for college and career and a life of civic engagement. We do that by offering opportunities for our students, including dual enrollment classes, AP classes, a social justice-based service learning program. Our high school students work on our dragon farm and in the greenhouse. They go on weekly community service outings in 9th and 10th grade, and our 11th and 12th graders work on capstone service learning projects. Our staff is all a valued and integral part of the school. South Valley Academy encourages leadership in all of our staff members, and everybody is a part of the forward motion of the school towards our students' preparation for their life beyond college or beyond high school and into college. Thank you for your time. Please vote for the renewal of South Valley Academy.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Erica Rivera. Mr. Vera, you have 2 minutes once you begin speaking. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Erica Rivera, and I am a parent at South Valley Academy. My son is currently a 9th grader here, but he also attended middle school at South Valley Academy. I am also the parent coordinator for our Parent Involvement Committee. I believe family engagement is extremely important for student success. With that, I see how committed our school is to engaging and supporting our families. Our middle school and high school directors, Ms. Gable and Ms. Quintana, have done a great job leading us through tough challenges we faced at the end of our last fiscal year. We know that there's always pros and cons with every school, but here the pros truly outweigh the cons. South Valley is truly a community school and a source of pride for all of our South Valley community. Bilingual communication is always provided as well as services, which is essential for our families. At SVA, we always try to support each other, families and staff alike, with students always being our priority. I also have a 5th grader at Rodolfo Anaya, who I look forward to sending to SVA once the charter is renewed. I can go on about the many reasons why our charter should be renewed, but I know our time is limited, and I truly love our school and take pride in our community. And again, I can't stress it enough to please consider the renewal for our charter. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Marco Perez Rios. We weren't sure if Marco was here tonight. Okay, so we're going to move forward. Jaylee Cota Gonzalez. You'll have 2 minutes. Wait, hold on. Is that too high for you? Hold on. Let's move that down. Once you begin speaking.
Hello, my name is Jaylee Cota Gonzalez. I am a senior at South Valley Academy. South Valley Academy has been providing me with many different opportunities. One opportunity they have provided me with is dual credit classes. I have been able to take 10 dual credit classes through CNM, UNM, and Stanford University. South Valley Academy has also provided me with the opportunity to be a Simon Scholar. It is a scholarship that gives me $16,000 to help me pay for college. They have also provided me with the opportunity to be an intern at Christine Duncan Heritage Academy. This is an internship that allows me to work with children, giving me an insight to my future career as a speech pathologist. I have been attending South Valley Academy since 6th grade, and I graduate in May. My sister just started in this year, and please renew our charter so she can have the same opportunities as I did. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Shelby Storner. Sorry if I said that wrong. You have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Thank you. I'm here speaking on behalf of East Mountain High School, and I'm a mother of a child who graduated last year and a junior. My child who graduated last year is autistic, and as a mom, I just wanted a place for him to fit in and to get a good education. And East Mountain High went above and beyond. He was there for 5 years, and in fact, he's back this year as the lunch scanner. And I also have a junior there whose needs are met in every way possible too. They have so many opportunities for one-on-one tutoring, any help that they need, and it runs the gamut of people, the staff, the teachers, the social workers, the speech therapist, anybody who the child connects with is there to help them succeed. So I am a huge proponent of East Mountain High School because everybody has a humongous chance to succeed. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Andrew Lopez Brody, and the speaker after that is Miriam Lopez Brody.
Hi, my name is Andrew Lopez Brody, and I'm here tonight representing Mountain Mahogany Community School. One reason I think Mountain Mahogany should continue to be a school is because we have Bosque Days. Bosque Days are when every Monday either middle school or elementary school goes to the Bosque. Yeah. I really like Bosque Days because instead of just like sitting in a classroom and learning about nature from a textbook, we can actually like experience it. And sometimes we get to see porcupines and stuff. And once I even saw a beaver at the Bosque. And we also see lots of turtles, which I really like. Yeah, I think Bosque Days are a really nice learning experience that other schools don't really have because that's why I think Mountain Mahogany should remain a school. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Andrew. Miriam, you have 2 minutes once you start. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Miriam, and I've attended Mountain Mahogany Community School since I was in kindergarten. I am currently in 3rd grade. One of the things I really like about Mountain Mahogany is that are the electives. We have gardening, art, and PE 3 times a week. Once a week. Also, the teachers are really awesome, and people who need extra support or extra challenge can learn at their own pace. Also, we have wonderful events. The spring festival is where we after school clubs get to show what they've been learning. We also have back to school night and math night. Please consider Mount Mahogany. Please renew Mountain Mahogany.
Our next speaker is Jeanette Perez.
It's going to be hard to follow up. Thank you, board members, for this opportunity to speak. My name is Jeanette Perez, and I'm an administrator at Digital Arts and Technology Academy. If you've been to our school, and I hope all of you get a chance to visit, you'll know that Data is more than just a school. It's home to a very, very unique group of students who felt like they never quite fit in anywhere else. I think we're all pretty familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and we know that students cannot learn unless they feel safe, seen, and understood. And I think we do a good job there at Data. Our students are artists, they're engineers, they're musicians, they're filmmakers, actors, and writers. They learn valuable career and technical skills that serve them post-graduation. They're encouraged to grow and explore before their time with us is done. When it comes to student learning, I sit in spaces with some of the most brilliant and innovative educators I've ever had the privilege of working with in my life. We are working diligently to move the mark for our students. We know that we have work to do. We're not perfect, but we appreciate you giving us the opportunity to continue to work hard to serve our very unique group of students. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Michael Wood, followed by Miller Malaya. Mr. Wood, you have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Thank you for your time. I'm Michael Wood, EMHS teacher of 16 years. Adam doesn't like school. He currently lives about 10 minutes away from our property. This semester, he has moved out of his house twice to his grandparents' house in town and makes the 30-minute commute to our school. His freshman and sophomore year, he made a regular routine of spending the first hour of the day in the social worker's office. Most of those first 2 years, he spent looking down at the ground. His junior year, he took my music class. It wasn't sunshine and rainbows, and we spent a lot of time in tutoring sessions to get him to pass the course, but he found a purpose and a connection. He started looking up. Now, in his senior year, he started a band. Got some new friends that I introduced him to, and get this, he actually even got a job with the security company that does security at our school. Curtis loves school. He lives about 5 minutes away from the property. Curtis has friends. He's on the basketball and volleyball teams. He's the first chair cellist in the Albuquerque Youth Symphony and is working as an intern at Sandia National Labs. Curtis is a role model student for youth and government and even became the governor of New Mexico through YAG. All the activities he has participated in have given him connection and purpose. I ask that you renew the East Mountain High School charter for 2 reasons. One, I am trying to build a school for my 2 children. Every day I come with a purpose of making these 4 green tough sheds better in terms of teaching and connection. And 2, for all the students we serve. The high flyers like Curtis who dream of going to Georgetown University, and more importantly, the struggling students like Adam who are simply glad to have a school that they feel a connection to.
Thank you, sir. Our last speaker is Miller. Miller, you have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Miller Millay, and I'm a junior at East Mountain High School. So at EMHS, students are not only challenged academically, but also encouraged to express who they truly are. Our charter school believes that every child has a unique voice, and we are committed to helping them discover it. We offer rigorous and engaging coursework designed to stimulate young minds while also creating spaces to foster collaboration and creativity. Here, students do not just sit in rows and memorize. They work together on projects, solve real-world problems, and explore ideas as a team. I would say that several classes offered at EMHS try to build thinking classrooms. This creates a space where students are working towards a common goal, which is to understand the contents together. From my own personal experience, East Mountain has given me so much in terms of education, opportunities, and experiences. Through all 3 of these, I have been able to accomplish new heights and strive to become a forward-thinking leader as stated within our mission statement. I'm prepared for a wide range of college experiences because of the impact that EMHS has had on me. Please renew the school for another 5 years so students can benefit from the school's amazing faculty and programs. Thank you.
And board members, that concludes public forum.
Thank you to all who spoke tonight on behalf of their charter school. We will be considering for renewal. Chief of Staff Johanna King and Dr. Joseph Escobedo, Senior Director of Charter Schools, will present on behalf of Albuquerque Public Schools. Ms. King, you have the floor.
Madam Vice President, board members, and Superintendent Blakey, this evening we bring for your consideration the renewal of 7 charter schools. Each school is represented by school leaders and members of its governing council. All but one are currently APS authorized charters. The first for your consideration, the Albuquerque Institute of Math and Science at UNM, is currently authorized by the Public Education Commission, but is seeking approval of a 5-year contract with APS. Representing the school tonight is Principal Katerina Sandoval Snyder and Governing Council President Bob Walton.
Thank you, Ms. King. Do I have a motion on agenda item 4.1 to consider the renewal contract and performance framework for the Albuquerque Institute of Math and Science at UNM?
I will move to approve for the renewal contract and performance framework for the Albuquerque Institute of Math and Science at UNM. This is Board Member Jackson.
And this is Crystal. I'll second. Is there any discussion on the issue?
Yes. I have a question. So after reviewing the documents that were presented to us, school, in particular, the school executive summary, the academics are outstanding at the school, and I would expect them to be, given the demographics. But my question is this. And should I wait till?
I think they're coming up now.
So, my question is this. What strategies do you have in place to improve, and to diversify your student population so it's more in line with, the Albuquerque Public School population demographic?
Is there something I'm supposed to do? with this?
Can you
Can you hear us? Yeah, yes, it's working.
I don't know if they can hear you in the back, but
Thank you for the question. We have a lottery that is a complete lottery. A parent will get on our website. They want to put their child in that lottery. Currently, we have about 800 kids in that lottery. And then the lottery is actually run by computer. I have nothing to do with that, and nor does my staff. So it's all by parents entering their child, but they have to get on the website and see how to do that. But again, it's done all by machine.
and so I have a follow-up. And so what strategy will you use to recruit a variety of parents?
We hold public meetings for anybody who wants to come. We also will answer questions about any kind of curriculum that we have. We have tried to diversify as much by just having us totally back off. And so it's parent interest that allows parents to actually, like I said, through the website.
And one final follow-up. Are your, I'm not familiar with a lottery system, but I know through another charter school who designed the lottery questions application in a variety of languages. Is that something that Ames has tried?
We do not, because we are totally hands-off. If a parent is interested in entering their child in the lottery, they enter them in the lottery through the website.
Can I ask a follow-up? Since you're hands-off with the lottery selection, which it is a lottery, what marketing are you doing in order to promote your school to different populations and different communities?
Absolutely none. We don't actually entice anybody to come into my school. Like I said, we have an 800 population of students that are in the lottery. We choose about 300, and when I say choose, it's a machine.
Thank you.
May I say just one statement? I think just in clarification for the conversations being had, when I look at the paperwork that's presented to us, I do want to recognize that over 70% of the population is minority. So I feel like they have met that qualification based on the data they submitted.
Generally, when a parent is interested in the school, they ask other parents.
Good question.
No, I mean, I don't have a question. I'm looking at the data, and what I'm seeing is the racial makeup of students is 50% Hispanic, 26% Caucasian, 22% Asian, 0.3% Native American, and 0.2% Black. I mean, it seems to be balanced, especially based on the fact that your school has an extremely a very good reputation for proficiency rates and for preparing students for college and college or career. And I think one thing that that I think needs to be highlighted is that this is the choice that the parents and the students are making to come to your school. And the reason that they're making that choice is because of the extreme rigor and extreme academics And I think you attract parents and students based off reputation for the proficiency that you are able to produce. My assumption is you're able to produce that kind of proficiency because of high academic standards that you create within the school. So it does seem to me as though the balance that is being sought seems to be there, but it's also it's by the choice of the parents and the students, not because of any I don't want to say, what's in the word besides manipulation? Not anything that you've done on purpose.
That's correct.
Thank you.
I have a question okay. Can you give us some context into the fact that there's a 0% number for students with disabilities?
We do have a special ed director. She handles all those kids. She's excellent. Again, I'm hands off. So I don't know what to tell you. I do know that we have special ed students and we give them services and they have IEPs. And I'm happy to show that to anybody that wants to see that.
So if I can point out, I think, so the information that we have, sorry, Madam Chair, may I? Thank you. So when we're looking at the information on our data right here, it says students with disabilities, it says 0%, but in very small little letters up at the top, it actually says students with disabilities is 0.22% and the English language learners is 0.25%. So it just didn't show up in the graph. Okay. So you do have English language learner students and you do have students with disabilities and you are providing them services
Yes.
within federal statutes and laws.
Yes, we are, and we are scrutinized frequently. And so at no time have we ever been found to be out of compliance. That's in 25 years.
Okay, and so if I might do a follow-up because I wasn't done, why is there an asterisk and why is it at the top and not included in the graph?
I'm not certain where you're looking at. I have several graphs.
Okay, so I am on page, actually there isn't a page number. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Page 3 of the school executive summary.
Madam Chairwoman and Board Member Benavides, this document is actually produced by our office. And so when we produced it, the 0% was just what the graph produced and we notated it up at top. And so it was our mistake for not highlighting that for you. So we will improve that in the future.
Okay, thank you.
And so I have and so Dr. Escobedo, I guess the question is for you. The other executive summaries have had graphs on IEP compliance and whatnot. So
Board Chair and Board Member Dominguez, actually, we are one of very few authorizers in the country who actually do deep special ed compliance. So the Public Education Commission and Public Education Department do a cursory overview of monitoring through state reporting, but we're actually hands-on looking at IEP compliance at a very granular level. And Patricia Espinosa is our special ed coordinator.
So is it because of the transition that we don't have that information?
So we will have that for them in the future.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Nope, thank you.
All right, then we're going to go ahead and ask for a roll call vote.
Janelle Astorga,
Yes.
Heather Benavides,
Yes.
Crystal Tapia Romero,
Yes.
Josefina Dominguez,
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes. Okay, thank you. a good thing. Thank you very much for answering our questions. Okay, our next item is our 4.2, consider approval of renewal contract and performance framework for Archer Academy for accelerated learning, including name change, formerly Los Puentes Charter Schools. Joining us from the school are Executive Director Anna Phillips and Governing Council President Molly Chavez. Do I have a motion item for 4.2?
I will move to approve the renewal contract and performance framework for Archer Academy, including the name change, which was formerly Los Puentes Charter School.
This is Crystal, a second. And a roll call, please, for the vote. Oh, sorry, not time for that. So we're got to discuss and talk about this a little bit before we take it to a vote. So any questions or discussion, please, from the board?
I will say something. I don't really have a question. It's more just pointing out that you serve the exact population that we are focusing on our goals and guardrails. So I guess I do have a question, actually, now that I'm saying this. We see in your graphs that there hasn't been a growth in student outcomes. Speaking on that, I just want to know what your barriers are, because you serve our exact population, and if we could support in any way, we should be doing that in all schools. So I just want to know what the struggles are and what your plan is.
Madam Vice President and Board Member Astorga, thank you for that question. That is the exact mission of our school. Our barriers consist of, number one, our mobility rate. Our average mobility rate is 46%. And so we re-engage students that have been out of school for some time or have, for any number of reasons, not been able to make continuous progress on their high school education, or even earlier. We serve grades 7 through 12. So when we receive a student and they spend less than 90 days with us, before going on to another school, or completely not going to school, then coming back, we have been implementing different instructional practices. Our focus going forward is the learning acceleration. And what that will allow us to do is to present the grade level material to all students instead of going back to the level where they may be and trying to remediate going forward. We are presenting the grade level with just-in-time supports and remediations. This is a process. It's going to take multiple years. We have seen growth, as you can see, in several areas, mathematics being the most challenging. We have also implemented an early warning system, and that is thanks to the support that we receive from APS that's utilizing our Title I funding. So this addition to our programming will help us just have an earlier scope of the interventions that a student will need in order to be successful in making that growth towards proficiency. Another barrier has been, we have engaged in aggressive turnaround over the last 4 years since our last charter renewal. And along that process, we have seen some staff turnover and identifying the right personnel who know the content, who have certification and endorsement, especially in mathematics, and is able to satisfy the demands that the school presents for working with a population of students that need those behavioral, social, emotional, and academic supports in order to move forward. It has been challenging. We have made tremendous progress in that sense. We continue to pursue the professional development opportunities that our staff requires in order to continue to support our students, and we are lifelong learners like our students. So, we are pursuing that continuous improvement through all of those and any additional measures that we need to as the opportunities present.
Thank you. And this is the comment that I was going to start with, but I felt it was better for you to share all of that. So thank you. One concern that I do have if we do not renew this contract is that you do have many students who do feel like they were pushed out of traditional schools, and you provide a safe space for them to go and continue their learning or just to get their feet, back on the ground. So I am in support of the work that you do. And like I said, I feel like we, as an EPS charter, we can support you with different things. So I'm just pushing that the renewal vote, because I do know that it's a hard spot, and I've been to Los Puentes a couple of times, and I've seen the work that you do. So thank you for that.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Okay, sure.
Hi there. So I was looking at the members of your governing council, and I was focused on the time on the council, and it's a pretty big spectrum. So you have one member who's been on for 19 years, and then one who has been on for 2 months. And so I'm just curious, what are the terms? How are they chosen? And what do you attribute to the person who's been on there for 19 years?
Well, I can speak to, I believe it was, I do not know the page, but over the last probably 4 years, and I'm very hesitant that I'm the president now. I'm going to throw this out as you hear my story. For many who've been around, Nancy Jo Archer was our founding board member. She passed away about 4.5 years ago, maybe about 4. And then the gentleman who was a vice president passed away about 3.5 years ago. Then our secretary passed away 2 years ago. Yes, so I'm trying not to. I'm the president now, so we're not going with that trend. So we had a huge turnover with our board, and so it was a rebuilding phase over the last few years to get us at least back up to where we needed to be for our bylaws. We pretty set. We're back up to 8 now, and really that's the impetus that started with some of the turnovers. Our 18-year Gloria, this is actually her last month with the board. She's moving on. She was one of the founding members with probably a couple years after the school started. And it really was due to death that we had turnover.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Yes. So thank you for being here. So I'm looking at the assessment results, and I see a lot of 0%. But then I also see, for example, on the New Mexico MASA measure of student success assessment. And this is in the school executive summary that we have. You've got Hispanic students in 2023-24 coming in at 25% proficient in English, 0% in math, and then 28.6% in science. And given the demographics that you work with, I know that that's an accomplishment, the 25%. And so I've got 2 questions. What strategies can you implement that weave those productive moments with the areas that are challenging?
Thank you, and Madam Vice President, Board Member Dominguez, thank you so much for that question. These, I think, are fortunate opportunities for us as a charter school to be able to put out our initiatives in order to support our students, measure the progress, and then re-aim. We do it through strategic planning, starting with the 90-day plan every year. We do it with our long-term strategic plans, like our performance framework over the next 5 years. So one of those strategies is to provide professional development for our teachers. For example, just because you're certified to teach a subject doesn't mean you know the standards. And just because you know what the standards are doesn't mean that you can teach to the depth of the standards. So a strategy that we are focusing on starting this year and going forward, is to ensure that our teachers are understanding the tasks that are given to the students in order to provide the rigor in that task that is presented to them that is comparable to their assessment. So as opposed to just saying, well, the students are doing well in math, they score A's and B's on their assessments in the classroom, and then we have to wait until they take the state assessment, and then we have to wait until the results are published, and then we can revisit. Our teachers are working collaboratively in their professional learning community to collect student work, not only to analyze what the students are producing, but also to ask in their reflection of their own practice, what is it that we're asking the students to do? There is a publication that has guided our work over the last few years by TNTP. It's called The Opportunity Myth. And it speaks as to students that are typically marginalized and how schools are saying, well, here, we're going to take it easy on these kids. Let's give them these tasks. Oh, they got A's, they got B's, they graduated with a 3.5, and then they go and enroll in college and they fail, unfortunately, because they've not been provided with the rigor that they needed to be prepared for those opportunities. So our goal internally among our instructional staff is to really present them with the rigors again and the supports, knowing that not all students are going to be able to tackle those grade level assignments to the depth of the standards, but how is it that we can improve our instructional practices in order to support them through the attainment of those very lofty goals.
And so my follow-up is, what changes are you going to make to your finances to reflect that kind of direct instruction that you're talking about? Because in reviewing the other contracts, your direct instruction percentage is 38.3, and I won't name the other school, but another school is at 68%.
And I do understand what you're looking at. We are a very small charter school, and you have our membership numbers. We are working in the hundreds. Some of these numbers that you look at, for example, the direct instruction under function of 1,000 at 38.3%, is due to the fact that we've been able to leverage additional funding sources. Most recently, we have had ESSER funding that we're able to code to salaries for instructional staff, as well as CSI. We are in CSI status for graduation rate, as well as other supplemental funds that we do count on. For example, we have a Gear Up New Mexico program. We're one of a few sites, one of 2 Albuquerque sites to receive that funding. They provide instructional staff funding as well. So even though you may see that 38% out of the operational directed to instructional staff, we leverage with additional and supplemental funding as we can so that we can make our budget work for our students. We do carefully and thoughtfully and strategically put the dollars to work in benefit of our students.
And will you revisit function 2300 and 2500 at all?
Yes, those
administrative costs.
Yes, absolutely. The administrative cost goes, the central administration goes to the executive director's salary, and then expenses and purchasing that is required to conduct the administration of the school. Being a charter school, we do have to administer our entire operation, right? And the central services also includes all of our contractual services like business office and others. So yes, we do revisit, and the board is really involved come time to approve that budget.
And I know it's hard because you're it's small enrollment, but the percentages are significantly higher in your administrative costs than some other schools. And so I can't help but note that as I'm hoping as a possibility where there can be some change.
Absolutely. And I am confident that, once some of those funding sources like ESSER was a huge funding source that we were able to bring, and those were the COVID relief funds that we were able to code and just to ensure the health of the cash balances that the school has. We are able to leverage, but those funds are now gone. Those have expired. And so in the future, that should reflect the percentages as well of the operational funding that is used and how it's applied.
Thank you. I have one question. With your mobility rate at 46% and your enrollment of your students at, what is it, 119 or it's a little higher than that? That's at 120 days. But anyway, how many of those students from stay and the longevity of those students from 7th to 12th stay with you to complete graduation? Yeah, that's my question.
Madam Vice President, for the current graduating class of 2025, 22% of our students have been enrolled at Los Puentes from 9th grade on. So 22% of our students in the graduating class of 25, which is 31 students, are continuous, they've made us the choice for their entire high school experience. And this is another initiative that we have. We've done marketing and advertising, but we also have really looked at our internal practices, initiatives, student support, behavioral incentives to attract students to make us their choice. We do know that students who start with us and don't continue with us, I review the data on the graduation reports, I know that they don't do well. I know that the students that stay with us do. And so we are hoping to continue to communicate that message. There are some things that are out of our control to retain the students, but that is definitely a goal that we have that is ongoing to help them stay here and make us their home until graduation.
Thank you.
I forgot one.
Okay, one more.
And this one's for our Senior Director of Charter Schools. So what evidence does APS have to justify the projected improvements that are listed on, because you do have a difficult population? And so yes, what's the evidence for suggesting that in 2025-26, reading will go up to 30%, math 15%, science 35%?
So Madam Chair, Board Member Dominguez, these are all the projected performance proficiency scores that the school provided. So these are their expectations that they're placing on themselves, and this is what they proposed in the renewal. I will say 5 years ago, we had 2 or 3 schools go into turnaround. And this school, because of change in leadership and following the Center for School Turnaround really focused initiatives, they have really turned the corner. And I think when we finish their next contract, I think we're going to see some significant gains.
Okay. That completes the questioning. So let's go ahead and call for a vote.
Janelle Astorga,
Yes.
Heather Benavides,
Yes.
Crystal Tapia Romero,
Yes.
Josefina Dominguez,
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
And Alberto Morito.
Yes. Thank you for your presentation and answering our questions.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to our 4.3 item. And this is consider approval of renewal contract and performance framework for Digital Arts and Technology Academy. Joining us from the school are Executive Director Lisa Myrie and Governing Council President Jennifer McDonald. Fill the seat. Okay, do we have a motion on the floor?
I will move to approve for the renewal, move to approve the renewal contract and performance framework for the Digital Arts and Technology Academy. Board Member Jackson.
And this is Crystal. I will second.
And now we'll open the floor for discussion. No? No? Okay. Yes.
What's it mean?
I did my homework.
Okay.
So I love the mission statement, designing supportive learning environments that promote academic curiosity, social justice, equity, joy, and empathetic practices with a vision to develop independent thinkers and those who claim their agency. And so I'm looking at the demographics, and they seem to represent a portion of the most vulnerable demographics in the targeted populations of Martinez and Yazzie lawsuits. And page 8 of the executive summary also shows you have a great graduation rate for some of your students. So I also looked at page 5 of the executive summary, citing SAT scores for 11th graders. So what strategies or supportive learning systems are in place for, I think it's around the 92.3% of students scoring not proficient in math and 49.4% not proficient in reading?
Correct. And thank you for the question and thank you for having us here. And I appreciate that. And I just would like to, before we start, to say a special thanks to the Albuquerque Charter School team, Elizabeth Escobedo, Joanna King, Roberta Vasquez, and Patricia Espinoza. I've been doing this almost for 20 years and have worked with them along the way, and their support and guidance and willingness to help us become a better school to serve our students and families throughout Albuquerque is phenomenal. So I do appreciate that, and I appreciate your continued support. Looking at math, that is one of our biggest concerns and one of our largest issues that we're dealing with at the school. We've already started to implement a different approach to that, knowing that we are seeing the residual effects of COVID as the students are moving through education. So, for example, this year we have our students that are in Algebra 1 in that class, not for 2 periods. We do 90-minute blocks, but they are in that for an equivalent time of approximately 2 years. So we're dedicating that time towards those Algebra 1 students to build them up and to bring them to a place where they have a better understanding and more proficiency and mastery of that subject. We just started that this year and arranged the schedule to make that happen. We're very eager to see if that's going to bring the results that we hope it will. We also adopted a new math curriculum last year, HQIM, Savas math curriculum that has built-in differentiation, acceleration, both online and, of course, workbook, textbook opportunities. Students and parents can access it from home. So we're hoping that will also help to address that. For our special education population, we also purchased IXL as an additional supplement for those students so they can continue to work with that if we do pull-out sessions, but also from home to help practice those basic skills that so many students, I think, were missing and have been, neglected as we've gone through these years after COVID. So that's where our time and energy is going. I would say if there was a right answer or a perfect curriculum to buy, if you guys know of that, please tell me, because I'd really appreciate it. But I believe in the dedication of our staff. One of the things that really is driving us this year and will continue to drive us throughout the next 5 years is transparency. Not only with you, not only with the state, not only with parents, but with each other. We've come to understand that the siloed approach to teaching, a teacher in their classroom, you do good, you stay there, is not what our students need. So we have weekly collaborative meetings between departments and teachers so we all know what is happening and what we're covering in each of the classes, because it is a shared responsibility. It's not just our math teachers that are responsible for math scores. We all are. Same thing with reading, social emotional development. whatever it might be. And so we're creating a system and a practice where that's what we do. Our CTE teachers whom you heard from earlier, our reading and math teachers, our humanities, our STEM, everybody has math and reading goals. So even in our elective courses, our teachers are discussing with students about reading and about writing and having them do those things. Not necessarily teaching an English class or teaching a math class, but using those math practices, using those reading and writing practices, so the students understand that those core skills apply to every aspect of their life. And it isn't just when they're in the math class or just when they're in their English class.
That sounds great.
Thank you.
In the right direction. One final observation. Again, I'm looking at the finance page, and I see 57.5% indirect instruction, and I can't help but compare that to some other schools that have 68.4%. And so, and then student support, 10% at other schools, 5% at data. And so I'm just, and then school administration, those administrative costs, 2,400, item 2,400 is at 12.8 as opposed to 4.7. I guess what is the plan to reevaluate?
I think what we have to do is take a look at, and we do, I mean, we put what we can to direct instruction. And as stated before by Las Fuentes, a lot of the ESSER funds were used for student support and social worker and extra counselors, part-time school nurse, all of those costs, and they were from ESSER, so I don't know if that's reflected in the numbers that you have due to those past 2 years using the ESSER funds. So it wouldn't come out of operational supplemental. So I expect those numbers to change. The reality is that we are not funding our administrators. We are funding our students, and we work to ensure that we can have as many staff, whether they're EAs or counselors or anything else on our staff to work with our students. One of the things that was very difficult due to funding of last year is we had to cut some positions, and I did not cut counselors and I did not cut social workers. I had to cut direct instruction in order to make budget for this year. And that's a reality I think that many charter schools face, as well as the additional administrative burden, the reports, HR, all the things that happen where APS is fortunate to have departments of people taking over and doing that. It's 3 or 4 of us taking that on in many different areas. I'm not complaining by any means. I love what I do. I love the people that I work with, and more importantly, the students and the families that we serve. But yes, I hear you, and yes, we are going to take a look at that and ensure that we always fund our students and what we can do for them. But thank you.
I just want to note too that I'm comparing a comparable enrollment, a school with a comparable enrollment to your circumstance. So
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Of course.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Okay, good. Hi, I realize in our executive summary that you have a higher population of students with disabilities than the traditional APS demographic, but I also noticed in your IEP compliance, you went down a little bit this year. Can you just give us some background on that?
Yeah, we do. We've had more and more students with disabilities or families coming to seek us out, and I think you'll see that with many charter schools, except maybe one, that want to have a smaller class size. And I think that's what they're looking on, because it's more than it's more of a one-on-one operational system that we're able to support. And in terms of our IEP compliance, I can tell you that 2-3 years ago, we were not in a good place. We did not have the compliance that we needed to have. We just weren't doing what we needed to do. And of course, as the director of the school, it's my responsibility. I trusted the individual that was in charge of that department and had assumed that those things were happening, even though we're having conversations and constant conversations with Dr. Espinoza. And in looking at that and going through what we had, we understood that we had an issue. And so we were on a corrective action plan, and we worked closely with APS. We have an entirely new special education staff and worked for 2 years to ensure that we have the policies and the practices in place that we need to have to stay in compliance and to serve our students. And we are no longer on a corrective action plan. That's due to the work at the school and also to the guidance of Patricia Espinoza.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? All right, that concludes our questioning. Thank you so much for being here with us. We're gonna go ahead and take a vote on this roll call.
Norma Astorga,
Yes.
Heather Benavides.
Yes.
Crystal Tapia Romero,
Yes.
Josefina Dominguez,
Yes.
Courtney Jackson,
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, our next item to consider approval is for the renewal, the approval of renewal contract and performance framework for East Mountain. Joining us from the school are Executive Director Trey Smith and Governing Council President Glenn Hushman. Thank you. All right, do I have a motion on the agenda item for 4.4?
This is Crystal. I will move for approval to accept the renewal contract and performance framework for East Mountain High.
And I'll
East Mountain.
second. This is Josefina Dominguez.
Okay, we have the floor open for discussion. Any discussion questions?
Mine's not a question, more of a comment. And I'll just say, I always enjoy looking at your outcomes and what you're doing out at East Mountain. Like your chart completely just exceeds all expectations. So great job on what you're doing out there.
Thank you for that. We're pretty excited about our ambitious goals going forward too.
Anybody else?
Anybody else?
So I'm going to ask a couple of questions. So data on page 6 illustrating results for the New Mexico Assessment of Science Readiness show that science scores are strong among Title I students plus Native Americans and Asians, and Hispanics are in an upward trend. However, Black students are seeing a decline. What systems analysis have you performed that explain those results?
Yeah, I would first draw attention to our new goals, which we're pretty excited about. That's ambitious and it's across all subgroups. And to be honest, the executive summary, then the Tableau, like some of that is not correct. Like you can just tell when you go to the APS website, like it says 0% of male students are proficient in math, and that's just like not true. So keep that in mind when you're looking at those reports. But our second goal, our second strategic, our mission-specific goal this year is how we want to see improvement for our Yazzie Martinez subgroups from fall to spring. And so we're taking a fine-tooth comb to that data as we speak. Something we're pretty excited about. We elect to give the PSAT to all 9th, 10th, and 11th graders, both in the fall and the spring. And so we're not just relying on that one and done junior test to determine proficiency. And we actually just got our results yesterday from the fall exam that we gave. And we learned that our math scores are actually up 16% compared to where they were in the spring. So we're already seeing massive improvements that actually puts us on track with our goal. And so that's one answer that I'd give to you. We also have a highly involved equity council that meets monthly, that reviews the data from that lens as well and looks at our subgroups and the Yazzie Martinez subgroups to really see what additional supports do those students need. And that team is made up of our social worker, our principal, our dean of student success, our special ed director, and they're always taking an extra look at that to see any extra supports that students need.
Yeah. Yeah, and you, well, so I don't know to trust anything I've seen here then.
I mean, there's just a couple I noticed. Like, it was
Okay.
weird. I noticed the male 0%. That's just not right. So I need to tell someone.
So, so then, weigh in on this one. On page 9, the illustrations of special education compliance show an exceptional outcome. So what system or strategy do you have that accounts for your outcomes on that?
Special education, we're really proud of recently because we made some pretty big strides over the past couple of years, definitely with our special education directors, work with Patricia and the APS office. This is, we're a school that is very connected to the charter community, and we know that having Patricia is like a blessing and an honor in the APS school system. So we all need to know that, because my special ed director knows that she can call her every day and get a quick answer. And so we've seen great improvements there. I think a lot of it is because we're starting to think more strategically about special education, how we're doing better, how we're actually placing students in classes and not just doing like exclusion all the time for special ed, and we're putting students on a pathway to get caught up. And our special education director, just, I think, working with the APS team, is doing a really good job of staying in touch with the most recent recommendations, how to be better with our federal compliance. And it's just a team effort too. Our special education team is made up of 3 teachers, a special education director, who do a really good job of meeting students where they're at, working with teachers, giving accommodations, et cetera.
And so is there an opportunity to have East Mountain? I know you guys are busy. But do they ever come together, similarly enrolled schools, to share like strategies that are working at East Mountain that might benefit some other schools?
Yes, board chair and board member Dominguez, we actually had our special education coordinator training today, where Albuquerque Charter Academy shared with their colleagues their path from coming out of their corrective action plan over 2 years. So yes, there are opportunities. Also, we have tiered our schools to mimic the school's performance framework. So East Mountain High School is a school of distinction. So we will be going to document 2 or 3 good practices every year, so we can spread that good news out to other charters and other schools.
Thank you.
I'll take it that you like that school a whole lot. Just putting it out there.
It serves as a very important campus in East Mountain,
Yeah.
especially on snow days.
Any other
20 inches.
questions? Okay,
Yeah.
sure. Go ahead.
Mine is kind of like a technical one. I think it's for you, Dr. Escobedo. So last time we renewed East Mountain's contract, there was an addition. It's now 6th through 12th. Was there any information that we can get from that middle school addition or maybe it is a question for you, just because I'm interested to see how you're doing.
Yeah. So we needed that approval quickly so that we could actually go figure out how we're going to construct the facilities to figure that out. So that's why we got the approval last year. And now we are on track for a fall 2026 beginning of our first 6th grade class.
Oh, awesome.
And so now we're on the path to get the financing to get that done and getting the word out that there will be a 6th grade option.
Thank you.
I just have one question. It's for the governing body. What was your role in improving special education for East Mountain?
Thank you for the question. I appreciate that. So as a board, the executive director has done a fantastic job presenting to us as a council, essentially the initiatives and goals as they tie into the strategic framework. And so The executive director brings that to us as a council. We discuss it openly. We offer our own observations, constructive criticisms, and then, of course, we work as a team together to assure that it's implemented correctly. So I would say our role is in collaboration with the executive director and in collaboration with the faculty and the staff at East Mountain High School. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, go ahead. Wait, Courtney. Yeah, go ahead. You're good? Yes, you're good.
Okay, well, I'm just going to ditto Board Member Dominguez's approval or cheering of East Mountain High School. Because I do think that you guys are really serving a need for APS and most importantly for the students that you serve. So if I may, I want to just highlight something and then I just want to ask you a question about it. First of all, it has been alluded to, but I think we have finally found the charter that is putting 68.4% of their budget directly to direct instruction. So I just want to highlight that. I think that that is.
You said it, I did.
I just think that that is something to be highlighted and kudos that needs to be given to you. The question that I had, excuse me, is in the performance framework. I did notice that of all the performance frameworks that have been submitted to us, yours is the only one that added an additional mission-specific goal under the academic performance framework. And it's specifically for an increase in the percentage of college-ready. You're starting to measure their SAT performance. And so I just wonder if you could speak to why you took that extra step to add that to your performance framework and how confident you are that your students will be able to reach that goal.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. We're overachievers, so we weren't happy with just 2 goals. And to be honest, a lot of it comes from knowing our, I've been there 18 years and knowing our faculty, and that data in of itself doesn't really energize faculty and teachers day to day. What does is the work on the ground. And so we know we wanted 2 really data-driven goals, but we also wanted something that spoke to the leadership and the SEL that our teachers work with our students every day. So actually, kind of the order of the goal is not so important, except we wanted goal number 1 where it is. But we added a 3rd goal related to leadership because we have a really robust community service program. We do a senior seminar experience where all of our seniors are doing internships and work experiences. And we wanted to capture that because there's so much happening that isn't just reflected in the SAT. And so it was kind of important to me, and I think to our faculty as well, to have a goal that spoke to that because that is our mission, forward-thinking leaders. And how do you measure leadership? That's a difficult thing. And so we wanted to have a goal related to that in addition to our SAT-related goals.
Thank you.
I have a question. Sure. Hi. So my question is specific to the East Mountain High School racial makeup. And so we've got 4% Native American, 27% Hispanic, and 68.6% Caucasian. And so I'm curious, how does one become a student in your school?
Yeah, so East Mountain High School, kind of at the base of the crest up there off of North 14, La Madera up there. We've run the numbers to look at the communities that where most of our students come from, Sandia Park, Edgewood, Harris, Cedar Crest. Our makeup, our student enrollment is actually more diverse than the communities we serve. And I think going forward, we actually have a plan because with our expansion, we'd like to offer better bus service. And so we're going to do like a pickup service from some more remote areas and actually coming from Albuquerque. And so I think going forward, that'll actually help us increase our amount of diversity as well. But in the meantime, we're happy that our, because you take the students that get in on the lottery. So you have the lottery law that you have to follow. And the fact that we are more diverse in the community, I think is good. And also the fact that our subgroups are performing at levels higher than the state and the district, I think also speaks to the experience they have when they're on our campus. But it's also something we see getting improved in the future.
Thank you.
Any more? I forgot to ask, I'm just so impressed with both you and South Valley Academy, I just have to say. with the direct instruction, or at the student success numbers, right? 84.7 with you all, 84.3, South Valley. How do you manage the school with 4.7% of the budget, as opposed to, we heard 12% earlier, and
Does take a lot of work on our effort, and I would give a shout out to our staff and faculty at our school, especially who are wearing so many hats. That it's our Spanish teacher who is also our ELL coordinator. It is our Dean of Student Success, who is also our SAT coordinator, and doing discipline as well. I'm the executive director, and I'm actually teaching an elective class right now. So an entire 90 minutes of my day is going to teaching a class. All of our teachers band together to take on extra tasks, and I think that's why that percentage is where it is, that we're proud of. And it's just because we have a community that believes in the school. The average tenure of our faculty is over 12 years. They like it there, they don't want to leave, and they also do more work. But they do more work because they believe in it.
okay. And I'll give SVA their due too when you're yeah, they've got a 1.8 on school administration. I'm curious to hear that, but anyway, thank you.
Okay, any more questions? Are we done here? All right, thank you so much for answering our questions and for the phenomenal job you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now call to vote. Roll call.
Janelle Astorga,
Yes.
Heather Benavides.
Yes.
Crystal Tapia Romero,
Yes.
Josefina Dominguez,
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Naldo Alvarado.
Yes. You qualify. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jen.
Okay. Our next item is to consider approval of renewal contract and performance framework for Mountain Mahogany Community School. And joining us from the school are Executive Director Lori Webster and Governing Council President Erin Ferreira. Do I have a motion on agenda item 4.5?
I move to consider approval of the renewal contract and performance framework for Mountain Mahogany Community School.
I will
I'll
second.
second. Go ahead. I'll second. This is Board Member Benavides.
The floor is open for discussion. Where is it? Any? None? Anybody have questions?
Well, yes.
Okay, go, Desiree. Board member.
Do you have, that leads you to project, to the projections for your academic performance, your projected academic performance, and after you answer, you may answer some of the other questions I have about outcomes.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here, Board Member Dominguez. We did a deep analysis of our data. We used the framework that the state will be using that awards points for students who are nearing proficiency, not just students who are proficient or advanced, something that's very relevant since the student population we serve is 35% students with IEPs, and that does not include gifted students. So for many students, they come to us many grade levels below their grade level. And so one of the things that we really focus on is helping students make progress from wherever they come to us towards grade level proficiency. So we took our past 2 years of academic data and then projected that forward for the 5-year performance framework, assuming a 2% annual growth.
So that would explain the 21% in student support.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? No? Anybody? Questions? I just have one. I like how your special education compliance, overdue IEPs, transition, and all that you're doing to really keep through. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
All right.
I just
Okay.
have one question.
Go ahead.
And this is related on the finance, chart. Can you explain school administration, you have 0%?
Oh, yeah. Is that typo?
You don't have a principal.
Sounds great, but I don't know if that's accurate.
Yeah, there is a reason for that actually. Because I'm the only administrator on campus, and since the state technically considers me a superintendent, my salary is under central services, and we don't have any other licensed administrators as a part of our staff.
High five to you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Are we done? You got it all done?
I've got another.
You got one?
I'm just curious about, like in 2023, 24, in the New Mexico assessment of science readiness, how do we get 100% non-proficient for Native Americans and African Americans?
You would assume at Mountain Mahogany, we're quite a small school and only 5th and 8th graders take that assessment. So that's a small school pool to start with, and then our students who are Native American and African American are generally under 10%, so that could be 5 students.
Okay.
Yeah.
Example.
Okay. All right. Dr. King, let's call for a vote.
Janelle Astorga,
Yes.
Heather Benavides.
Yes.
Crystal Tapia Romero.
Yes.
Josefina Dominguez.
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes.
Tabler.
Congratulations. Okay, our next item to consider is consider approval of renewal contract and performance framework for Public Academy for Performing Arts. So joining us from the school are Tamara Lopez, Executive Director, Public Academy for Performing Arts, and Barbara Campbell, Governing Council President.
I move that we consider approval of the renewal contract and performance framework for the Public Academy for Performing Arts, Board Member Benavides.
I will second. This is Board Member Astorga.
Okay, floor is open for discussion.
Anybody?
I think you're it.
Oh, good. So you have 432, just checking in now on what we've got before us. I show 432 students in your enrollment.
Good evening. Don't worry, we won't be singing. All of our students have.
Oh,
that.
please.
Thank you for the opportunity this evening, and thank you for the question. I do want to first, before I answer your question, say thank you to our partnership with Albuquerque Public Schools. It's an honor and a privilege to represent the premier performing arts school in the state of New Mexico and have partnership in the portfolio with Albuquerque Public Schools. Today, at this moment, we have 444 students.
Okay.
But as a school of choice, sometimes students don't enjoy singing and dancing, and that is not their cup of tea, and that's perfectly fine because of how we incorporate arts in our core curriculum. It's pretty demanding sometimes, singing and acting and playing instruments. So a student may choose to go to another school at any minute, right?
Sure, yeah. I don't know why, but it's okay. So 2 connected questions, and it's about diversity. I've got 0.3% Native Americans, 31% Hispanic, 67% Anglo, Caucasian, 16% students with disabilities, and 0% English learners or English as a second language learners. And so I'm just wondering, do you have plans for diversifying the student population. And within that, so this is the second question. Students with disabilities don't fare well. And so I'm just wondering if there are strategies in place for improving both the diversity and students with disabilities.
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. Those numbers are very close to accurate. So close that it's kind of negligible to even to say. But our English language population, for example, it's going to be probably one of those stipulations where it's so little that it doesn't appear on your graph. But we actually do have about 28 second language learners. Most of our second language learners do come with us to our school with pretty moderate proficiency. So we're looking at 3s and 4s on the access as opposed to newcomers 1 and 2, right? So they're very fluent and casual in their speaking, but we do want to grow their academic language proficiency. As for students with disabilities, our population is actually a little bit more significant than you mentioned. That's what right in front of you. We have 81 special education students that make up 18% of our student body. And in particular, we have 60 students that have a 504 plan. That's 13% of our student body. So overall, 141 total students with a recognized disability. That brings our population to 31% special services, not including gifted. So we have exceptional students. Some of them are twice exceptional. And what we find is that arts can be a great equalizer. When you're performing the ballet, you don't necessarily know who has dyscalculia because it can be a great equalizer. And as a part of our mission, we're looking to close achievement gaps and to just really engage students in the process. We know students that enjoy coming to school and have that outlet, at our school 3 times to 4 times a day with our performing arts electives. They're going to be more likely to show up to classes and to engage in the classwork. And I think I left out a part of what you asked me. Would you repeat something I didn't answer?
Well, just diversifying your student population. I'm looking at 31% Hispanic. But I mean, you clarified the other 2 areas of special education. But special ed students with disabilities, and I think you answered it, there are plans in place to increase proficiency, have them.
Absolutely. And actually, we're pretty proud of our special education growth. When we look at our internal data year by year, we see that our students with disabilities have improved in their proficiency. In 21 to 22, we were at 7% proficiency. And in the following year, it grew to 21% proficiency. Although it's not everybody, we haven't closed that gap 100%, we are happy to see that growth. In regard to diversifying our population, some of the things we like to do is get out into the community. We would like to have all of Albuquerque understand that we love performing arts, and when you need a performance, call on us to represent that particular art. Our talented faculty prepares our students very well. So some of the things we've done, for example, is perform at the now I'm going to forget since you're all staring at me. To perform at different areas, cultural performances. So we've had orchestra and band perform at the Indian Public Cultural Center. We can certainly make more connections with our African American colleagues and with the city and the county. In particular, connections with the Asian community would be wonderful, especially as it comes to dance and sharing celebrations. So when we have performers come to our school to share appreciation and culture, I think a growth area would be for us to follow up with them when it's time for our lottery to open. Hey, don't forget us. I think there's definitely room for looking at bridging cultural gaps and being a part of the city to a greater degree.
Well, I love your hands-on approach. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have a question. So my question is specific to the percent of students who've enrolled in college in the fall after graduation. And so it's a pretty high percentage for 2022, 2023, 82.5%. And so I'm curious if you have any data about those students and their graduation rates from college.
Not just yet, but I can tell you the evidence I have every day when I walk in the door of my office is I have graduation announcements from students as they graduate from Papa, but I have 3 to 4 of them that have also come back to give me their college degree, their college
Diploma.
announcement. No, with the fancy pictures and the
Yeah.
come to my party
Mhm.
kind of thing.
Oh, save the date, an
announcement, yes.
invitation, yeah.
And 2 of those have returned to the field of education, which is quite lovely. So some of our graduates will go on to pursue professional opportunities in the arts, join companies, for example, and some of them just have a general appreciation for the arts at a minimum. So when I look at specific data about who has graduated from college, I do not have that, but it is a part of an alumni list that we keep as they graduate from Papa. As part of senior checkout, we put them on our alumni list and give us current information, and that's a spreadsheet we can use to reach out. And again, a couple of years ago, we had our 20th celebration, and many of our alumni came back to perform at the National Hispanic Cultural Center, ranging from a member of the current Albuquerque Police Force to performing artists to digging out the good old guitar from the garage to rock out for a time to connect with them.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I just have one question. I'm really glad, and it's more of a comment. You mentioned Twice Exceptional. How many of those kids are gifted in music out of your Twice Exceptional bunch?
I couldn't tell you on a test if they were gifted in
Okay.
music per se, but I do know that there are many talented students that come with that drive to practice and to engage. I could tell you that there's a magic that happens at our school through encouragement, that whether you've had experience in the arts or you've never had that experience, if you put in the passion and the time and dedication, there really is no limit for our students, in my opinion. Gifted, I don't have anybody that I can speak to that's had like a gifted musical test, but we have gifted students in the hallways, definitely.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Let's call for a vote.
Janelle Astorga,
Yes.
Heather Benavides.
Yes.
Crystal Tapia Romero,
Yes.
Josefina Dominguez.
Yes, and I love your intentionality about recruitment.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes. Thank you. Congratulations.
And please say hi to Coach Lopez for me.
Okay, that one's done, that one's done. It's our last one. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and consider approval of the renewal contract and performance framework for South Valley Academy. So joining us from the school are Co-Executive Director Jennifer Gable and Chantel Quintana and Governing Council President Robert Beatty. Let's wait.
I move to approve the renewal contract and performance framework for South Valley Academy. This is
And
board
I'll
member
second.
Okay,
That was Janelle Astorga, and this is Josefina Dominguez second.
you second. Okay. All right, let's open the floor for discussion. Anyone? Oh. Josefina, you got a question?
Well, oh, well, okay, yes, I do. Just double checking, 598 enrollment, is that right? Or are you beyond 600 now?
We're currently sitting at 603 students today.
Okay.
277 are classified as English learners and 119 have IEPs.
119 IEPs. Okay. And interestingly, you could diversify it also, right? In another direction. I have a question though, or the notes here saying page 5 SAT. There's been a downward trend the last, and then I'll have to go. And I'm just curious if you've done any kind of analysis or about that.
In the SAT?
SAT.
So I know my understanding from our data specialist who is here also is that the SAT has changed a bit over the last few years. So that's part of what we're noticing in the trend. Our interim assessment data or NWEA map data actually is showing growth over time. So we're hoping to see the SAT data once it's stabilizing in terms of what they're asking the students on the test. We're hoping to see that trend go up as well.
So does that mean an adjustment in curriculum or like what you're teaching at? What's
The
the
high
shift
school?
in?
Want to say anything?
Sure. So we have reevaluated our approach to the intentionality of instruction. So we, this last school year, have focused on ensuring that our curriculum is state approved and aligned with those standards and metrics to help increase the overall performance of our students. And then just doing deeper dives in terms of collaboration and communication within our cohort teams that support our students at the high school, and ensuring that the intentional supports are integrated into the cross-curricular planning, the unit planning, the grade level discussions, and then that holistic approach to each of our students. So our goal with the encompassed approach to the collective curriculum, the intentional conversations and supports in the classroom, as well as we are proud to say that we have approximately school-wide, we have, I believe the numbers were 23 level 3 teachers, 21 level 2 teachers, and 12 level 1 teachers. So our level 2 and level 3 teachers who are more experienced are supporting our level 1 teachers, and we have some phenomenal instructional coaches that are supporting our teachers across both high school and middle school. So we hope to see those trends increase.
And I do want to also add that all of our sophomores take the PSAT, so we can dive into that data as well a little earlier. And that all of our 11th graders we provide them with SAT preparation for all of our students. It's not just if they want to, it's part of our college and career readiness to help them get additional support, looking at how they did on either their PSAT or a practice test to see what they need to work on to help them improve. And then we support students in retaking as well.
Okay. And your school administration numbers are impressive, 1.8%. So
we work hard. I mean, I'm sure all schools do, but yeah, we wear many hats.
and hearing Mr. Smith describe it, I figured you all must be wearing lots of more hats.
Yeah, like last year I co-taught a literacy class with our least English proficient students with one of our English language experts. It was a blast. The kids are fantastic, and it was one of my favorite parts of the day.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
I just want to uplift SVA because I feel like you're a model for service learning and project-based schooling and education. So I'm huge support of your school. And I do have a question as it comes to special education. And if you can just give me some background on your IEP compliance and transition compliance data.
So we'll both tag team, so we're not. So we are working very closely with Patricia Espinosa and the special education department based on our corrective action plan. So we are working to ensure that that compliance is met through intentional supports, training for our special education staff and EAs who join us. And so we're making sure that all that we do is in approval of APS, but also in alignment with making sure that we're meeting our student needs and our family needs. So a couple of approaches to that is ensuring that our students understand their modifications and accommodations and understand what their IEP means for them. Our ultimate goal is so that those students can learn to advocate for themselves in a more productive way so that they're able to be able to access or advocate in the times of need, as well as ensuring that they can speak to what their plans and goals are.
We're working very closely with our structured intents. So each week our grade level teams meet for anywhere from an hour to 2 hours to talk about students specifically who might have IEPs, students who are in the MLSS or tracking process, and ensuring that our intentional supports, both instructionally and socially emotionally, are that holistic approach to supporting our students so that in turn we can see successful academic gains for our students.
Yeah, so, and a little context, so a few years ago, you'll see sort of the drop off in the data you're probably looking at in the executive summary, right? So we had a lot of turnover in our special ed department, both in leadership as well as in teachers and our education assistants. And that turnover has continued each year, which caused some problems. We're not making excuses, we're just sharing sort of the facts and moving forward at this point. But that was a bulk of the why, we think. And moving forward, we're really working hard to set up systems that no matter who's there, we're going to make sure that the systems are in place so that no matter who comes on board, whether it's in the highest leadership at the school in special education, whether they're a teacher, an EA, or a general ed teacher, they're going to understand expectations and make sure they're following what needs to be followed to make sure that we're in compliance with our IEPs. And Patricia has been a phenomenal support for us.
One thing to highlight is last VISTA's designation, we were a CSI school for students with disabilities. With the new data, we have now moved to the traditional, so our students are demonstrating progress and growth. Now we will focus more intentionally on that compliance piece, and we've already dug deep into that just this school year alone, and working really closely with Ms. Patricia. We're very fortunate for that support, and we hope that the stars will align so that those goals and that insight for our students and our staff just lead to that support and growth.
Thank you.
Yes, Heather. Hi there. So my question is specific to the governing council, and I noticed that it looks like 5 members have served less than a year. And the member who's served the most time, it's 3 years. So that's a pretty young board or governing council. And so can you speak to that at all?
Sure. Madam Vice Chair, Board Member Benavides, my name is Robert Beatty. I'm longtime South Valley community member, a huge fan of South Valley Academy. I'm actually the director of Robert F. Kennedy Charter School, and we founded at the same time. There was some issues at the school last year, and a number of the council were stepping down. And so I was asked actually by the founders if I would be willing to step in. And so we are rebuilding the governance council and being quite strategic about it. We're looking to add somebody who really has a lot of experience in special ed. We've added a licensed business manager so that we really have a strong board understanding the finances. I've added somebody who has a career from CNM to have a connection for post-secondary. And so it's a rebuilding from a difficult time and moving forward pretty quickly, I think. Would you agree?
Can I ask another follow-up? Okay. And so I would be remiss if I didn't ask this question. And I just want to make sure that this is the proper information. So this is the charter school where there was the box cutting incident, correct? Or the
yeah,
okay.
You're referencing the right school.
Okay.
That has been settled.
Right.
And we've moved forward.
Right. And so, okay, thank you. So I guess what I'm curious about is safety of students is the most important thing to me. Absolutely. And so what supports were put in place after that event to, honestly support the students who may have seen something, heard something, or just lived through something that's very traumatic?
So as a school, we very much take our pride and honor in terms of our students, and social emotional learning is a focal point for all of our students. When that incident happened, we were fortunate enough at the time to have a school-based clinic on campus that was in support of, so that was complete behavioral health. and they had several licensed therapists and support. In addition, we're very fortunate as a school to also have 4 social workers on campus. And we also brought in community members to have restorative conversations, a place and space just for the community to voice their concern or their feelings or their thoughts or emotions. So there was a lot of strategies and supports and platforms available for individuals, both staff, students, community members, to have a place and space. And then those intentional supports varied based on each of the needs. For our students, our staff were great to step right in and measure the needs of students and direct them to the appropriate individuals to have that space and place to get the support that they need to make it through the school year.
Thank you.
Done? We got it done? All right, Dr. King, let's call for the vote.
Nella Storga,
Yes.
Heather Benavides,
Yes.
Crystal Tapia Romero,
Yes.
Josefina Dominguez,
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Naldo Tomorito.
Yes. You got it. So congratulations. Error. I'm sorry. Sorry about it. Okay. Let's just note that our next Board of Education meeting is going to be Wednesday, November 20th, 2024 at 5 p.m. For those of you who are so anxious for it, it's going to be here at Alice and Bruce King Educational Complex at 6400 Uptown Boulevard, and it's live streamed on APS EDU. Our next special Board of Education meeting will be Wednesday, January 8th, 2025 at 5 p.m. at the Alice and, wow, are you guys excited about that?
It's a whole new year.
I know. Alice and Bruce King Educational Complex. We still are a little excited. So 6400 Uptown Boulevard Northeast and live